Hello students, I am Dr. Amit Bhatnagar, working as Senior Research Officer in the Department of Agronomy at GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar, Uttarakhand. Here in this lecture, I will explain the need of INM, why INM is necessary, integrated nutrient management is necessary. In general, when a farmer use inorganic fertilizer like urea, SSP, DAP, MOP, he finds very good yield and crop performance is satisfactory. That's why farmers like to apply chemical fertilizers. Still, we suggest that we should use the integrated mode of nutrient supply, means we should use organics in combination with the inorganic fertilizer as well as some biological means, biofertilizers. We should grow legume crops in between two major crops and we should adopt green manuring. But for a farmer, it is very difficult to convince him that he should use the all combined approach. Farmer perception is that when we apply chemical fertilizer, there is change in crop performance. When we apply urea, there is green color, there is increase in height and yield increases. That's why they like to apply more and more chemical fertilizer and ignore organics like FYM, compost, residue application. They do not use biofertilizers. So what is the reason that we should include this organic means despite the high yield by the application of chemical fertilizer? Means हम अगर chemical fertilizer use कर रहे हैं फील्ड में और yield अच्छी हो रही है, उसके बावजूद भी हमें ऑर्गेनिक को इंक्लूड करना चाहिए. व्हाई? व्हाट इज द रीजन? तो ये मैं बताऊंगा क्या ऐसे रीजंस हैं कि हम इसको यूज करें डिफरेंट मोड्स ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट सप्लाई. इन जनरल देयर आर थ्री मोड वी कैन कंसीडर. नंबर वन, ऑर्गेनिक्स लाइक FYM, कंपोस्ट, रेजिड्यू, वर्मी कंपोस्ट. सेकेंड वन, इनऑर्गेनिक फर्टिलाइजर्स, यूरिया, SSP, DAP, MOP, and third one, biofertilizers. So these combination, when we use in combination, then yield increases and sustainability of crop as well as soil is maintained. So this is the major reason. But how is it possible? इसको हम देखेंगे कैसे यूं ऐसा हो रहा है कि इसको हम यूज करते हैं तो then our benefit increases. Actually, for the crops, all essential nutrients are required. How many essential nutrients are required from a crop? 17 essential nutrients are required, and these nutrients are required in adequate amount. This is very important, adequate amount. We should know first how many nutrients? 17 essential nutrients are must. If one is omitted, then plant cannot complete its life cycle. 17 में एक भी कम हो गया तो प्लांट की लाइफ साइकिल पूरी नहीं होगी, कोई yield formation नहीं होगा. And these nutrients should be in adequate amount. If one is in excess amount, then this excess amount will cause toxicity as well as it will show antagonistic effect on other nutrient. For example, in case of phosphorus and zinc, if phosphorus amount increases, then it reduces zinc absorption. Similarly, if zinc amount is more, then it reduces phosphorus nutrition. So antagonistic effects are there. So high amount causes two effects. Number one, its toxicity. Second one, antagonistic effect means reduces the availability of other nutrient. If nutrient amount is less, means deficient, then it cannot fulfill the nutrient amount. So that's why adequate amount is required. All 17 essential nutrients in adequate amount and regular supply. It is very important. Regular supply of nutrient is must. Actually, when we apply the chemical fertilizer 2 or 3 times, first at the time of sowing, that is known as basal application, then 2 and 3 times as a top dressing or side dressing. So in general, when we apply chemical fertilizer, we supply the nutrient only 3 to 4 times during the whole crop period. But look the crop cycle. This is a seed germination, then this is the leaf emergence, then this is the active vegetative growth, then flowering, then reproductive stage, then seed setting. And there is a continuous growth. Growth is there. Continuous growth is there. Root development is there, leaf development is there, flower production is there, seed setting is there. It means the There is continuous cell metabolic function. There is cell division. Means nutrients are required at all time. It is not that the plant requires nutrient only for 3 or 4 days. There is continuous respiration. Photosynthesis is there. Growth is there. Leaf production is there. It means continuous supply of nutrient is must to maintain the growth. And in this stage, early stage, growth is slow. Growth is slow rate. So that's why nutrient amount is low. And at active vegetative stage, there is a rapid dry matter production, more photosynthesis. So nutrient requirement is very high. So it means we have to supply the nutrients regularly, but their quantity needs to be changed. It means in early stage, we should apply less amount of nutrients, and at active vegetative stage, we should apply the high amount of nutrients. So we should first understand what is the concept of nutrient supply. The supply should be regular, not on 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. It should be during the whole crop period up to the reproductive stage. Second one, this regular supply quantum should be different at different growth stages. जब शुरू में प्लांट छोटा है, उसे न्यूट्रिएंट्स की कम जरूरत है, तो कम अप्लाई करें. बाद में उसे ज़्यादा न्यूट्रिएंट की जरूरत है एक्टिव वेजिटेटिव स्टेज पे, जब बहुत ज़्यादा लीफ निकल रही है, टिल्लिंग हो रही है, ब्रांचिंग हो रही है, तो हम ज़्यादा सप्लाई करें. सो फर्स्ट वी शुड लर्न what is the concept of this nutrient supply. What happens in chemical fertilizers? In general, we supply 25 to 33% chemical fertilizer at the time of sowing, 1/3 or 1/4, and then we supply a 1/3, 33% at this stage and 33% at flowering stage in general. And this is the active vegetative stage. Or otherwise we split 25%, 25% or 25%. So it means nutrients are applied in 3 to 4 times. And this chemical fertilizer contain high concentration of nutrient. So supply is instant, quick, and these fertilizers supply the nutrient in a large amount. And this supply maintain only 3 to 4 days. Otherwise there is a wastage. For example, in case of urea, leaching is there, denitrification is there, volatilization is there. In case of phosphorus, fixation is there. Potassium, fixation is there. It means their supply in case of nitrogen fertilizer is very fast, and in case of phosphatic and potassic fertilizer become block or check because these converted into insoluble compounds. So there is no continuous regular supply. तो अगर हम यूरिया डालते हैं तो बहुत तेजी से नाइट्रोजन मिलने लगती है, फास्फोरस पोटेशियम डालते हैं तो ब्लॉक हो जाती है, insoluble compound बनते हैं और फिर धीरे धीरे अवेलेबल होते हैं. So this is the problem with the chemical fertilizer. So when we apply the urea, suppose we are applying the urea at this stage, no doubt there is a rapid growth because of nitrogen, but this growth requirement, nutrient requirement is not synchronized with the nitrogen supply, because after 7 days or 10 days or after 2 weeks when it requires nitrogen, nitrogen either will be lost or will be used by weeds or microbes. So this is the problem with the chemical fertilizer. No doubt chemical fertilizer supply the nutrient instantly, nitrogen fertilizer particularly, but the problem with this organic fertilizer is that supply is not synchronized with the plant nutrient demand. So this is the problem with the chemical fertilizer. Another problem with the chemical fertilizer is that these chemical fertilizers at the time of production create the pollution, at the time of transportation create the pollution, and after application pollution is there. For example, in case of urea, leaching is there, nitrate leaching is there, groundwater pollution is there, denitrification, then volatilization, ammonia gas, denitrification, N2O gas. This nitrous oxide is also greenhouse gas. This cause the pollution. Then these chemical fertilizer, urea, DAP, whatever chemical fertilizer, they have heavy metal contamination. So when we apply the fertilizer, soil get contaminated with this heavy metals. So soil pollution is there, water pollution is there, air pollution is there. So this is the problem with the chemical fertilizer. And these chemical fertilizer adversely affect the chemical properties. Means these chemical fertilizers cause some disturbance in soil pH, in electrical conductivity EC, and ultimately affect the microbial population. of the soil. So means the chemical properties are affected, biological properties are affected. So this is the problem with the chemical fertilizer. It doesn't mean that we should not apply the chemical fertilizer. It suggests that we should supply or apply chemical fertilizer in a regulated way or in a combined way with the organics, so that their deleterious or lethal effects are minimized. So the regular supply concept is fulfilled if we use in case of chemical fertilizer, this regular supply is not possible because supply is for 3, 2 or 5 days. So we apply the if organics like FYM, then compost or crop residue or vermicompost, whatever we have organic. Then through mineralization, nutrients are released. Okay, so there is a regular supply of nutrient because mineralization is a continuous process. So there is a release of nutrient, and all the nutrients. In case of chemical fertilizer, only one nutrient is supplied. For example, in case of urea, DAP only 2 nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus. MOP only 1 nutrient. Potassium, SSP 3 to 4 nutrient. Sulfur, calcium and phosphorus. But in case of this organics, all the essential nutrients are supplied and their supply is regular. Okay. But the problem with the organics is that their quantity is low. Quantity of nutrient released is not sufficient. Not sufficient to fulfill the plant requirement. So there is a continuous supply, regular supply of nutrients, all essential nutrients. But the problem is that this quantity of nutrient, means nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, whatever nutrients, their supply, means their release is low. So this quantity of nutrients cannot fulfill the high requirement of fertilizer, particularly cereal crops. This supply is sufficient for pulse crop, legume crops, but not sufficient for heavy feeder crops, particularly cereals, rice, wheat, maize, sorghum and sugarcane, potato, because these are heavy feeders. So this is sufficient for vegetable short duration crop or pulse crop, but not for cereals or long duration crop. So it means this quantity, high quantity can be met through chemical fertilizers. If we use the chemicals, then there is a high quantity of fertilizer. So with the use of organics, there is a regular supply with the organics, and with the chemicals, high quantity of nutrients. We maintain the, or we can fulfill the plant nutrient requirement. So this is a very good combination. On the one hand, chemical fertilizers supply the proper amount of nutrients, and on the other hand, organics supply the nutrient regularly for 2 months, for 3 months, regularly, continuously, and all the essential nutrients. So this is a very good combination. So that's why we should use integrated nutrient management. So with this integrated nutrient management, this adequate amount is possible through the combination of chemicals, and regular supply is possible through the organics. That's why it is very good approach. And in case of chemical approach, when we are only using chemicals, some contamination is there, pollution is there. So when we are using the chemicals in integrated mode, definitely chemical fertilizer amount is reduced. If we are using only chemical fertilizer, suppose one is supplying nitrogen through urea, and he is applying 200 kg urea, but when he adopt the integrated nutrient management, means he use FYM, compost residue, then he reduces the amount of chemical fertilizer. So it means pollution is reduced. So in case of integrated nutrient management, chemical plus organics are used, and in this mode, definitely chemical fertilizer amount is reduced. So the deleterious effect, the negative effects associated with the chemical fertilizer applications are reduced. जब हम इंटीग्रेटेड न्यूट्रिएंट मैनेजमेंट को अडॉप्ट करते हैं, तो हम केमिकल फर्टिलाइजर को तो यूज करते हैं, लेकिन उसके अमाउंट को कम कर देते हैं, और वो अमाउंट जो न्यूट्रिएंट की फुलफिल कहां से होती है, ऑर्गेनिक से होती है. तो ऐसे केस में जो हमारे केमिकल फर्टिलाइजर्स के जो नेगेटिव इंपैक्ट्स वो क्या हो जाते हैं, कम हो जाते हैं. सो दिस इज द रीजन दैट इंटीग्रेटेड न्यूट्रिएंट मैनेजमेंट इज वेरी गुड अप्रोच. वी शुड यूज, और वी शुड कन्विंस द फार्मर कि उसको ये यूज करना चाहिए, ऑर्गेनिक्स यूज करने चाहिए. ही शुड यूज बायो फर्टिलाइजर्स. तो ये दिस इज द concept, or this is, or we can say this is the advantage. All essential nutrients, adequate amount, and regular supply. And with this INM, soil sustainability, when we talk about the sustainability concept, sustainability, crop sustainability, soil sustainability is maintained, because there is no adverse impact on soil physical properties, biological properties and chemical properties. Whatever impact of chemical fertilizers are released, these are minimized. And with the organic, soil properties are improved, physical properties improved, aggregation is improved. That's why soil aeration is improved, bulk density is reduced. Then biological properties, microbial population increases. This microbial population is very helpful in nutrient transformation, particularly in nitrogen, nitrosomonas, nitrobacter, sulfur, manganese. And beside these, the chemicals, these microbes are involved in mineralization process. So this is the advantage with the INM approach. Soil physical property, chemical properties and biological properties are improved. So sustainability is maintained. So there are numerous advantages. Regular supply in adequate amount, pollution is minimized, ecosystem is maintained, जो soil pollution है, water pollution है, वो minimize होता है, and sustainability is maintained. Okay, so this is the advantage of INM. But if a farmer says that he will use only organics, he will not use the chemical fertilizer, he will use only FYM or compost. Okay, so this is not the INM approach. In case of INM, integration of all the approaches must. और एक किसान कहता है कि नहीं मैं केवल FYM ही डालूंगा या कंपोस्ट ही डालूंगा, then there may be some limitations, some constraints, or maybe some disadvantage with the FYM compost. Number one is that more amount is required. These are bulky, so more amount is required, high amount. These are required in a large amount, 10 ton, 15 ton, 20 ton. And for this high amount, maybe about 20 ton per hectare, okay, more number of livestock are required. So livestock is must. Then we have to devote some area for forage crops to feed the animals. So this is the problem. If a farmer has a small area, then no problem. But large area, this FYM availability is the problem. He has to rear some livestock. Number two is that mixing in soil. Mixing in soil is a problem. When we apply, suppose this is a soil surface and we are applying the FYM here on the soil surface, it should be mixed into the soil. Then there will be mineralization because microbes are present inside the soil and nutrients should be released into the soil. So this should be incorporated into the soil, and this should be by harrow. When high amount is used, then harrow doesn't work properly. Harrow doesn't make cut over this FYM or compost. So mixing is a problem. हैरो बहुत अच्छे ढंग से चल नहीं पाता है. जब बहुत सारा गोबर पड़ा होगा फील्ड के ऊपर तो उसमें हैरो चलाने में बड़ी दिक्कत आती है, मिक्सिंग करने में प्रॉब्लम आती है. सो दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम. थर्ड वन इज दैट माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट चिलेशन. Micronutrient chelation is a problem because copper, zinc, manganese, these have high affinity for organic matter and chelation is there. So when we apply the high amount of organics, so micronutrients are locked up in organic matter, chelation is there and these are not released and not available to the plant. So this is the problem. Another problem is that the microbes population increases and these microbial population may be beneficial or maybe pathogen. So this organic matter is food for all the microbes. So some are beneficial, some are pathogen. So pathogen maybe increase. Soil inviting microbes, pathogen which cause disease may increase. So there may be a problem. Another problem with the FYM is that if it is not well rotten, then it is contaminated with the weed seeds. If FYM has weed seed and it is not properly digested, not properly prepared, then weed seeds remain viable and weed seed infestation increases in the field. So this is another problem with the whole application of FYM compost. It doesn't mean that we should not use FYM compost. अगर हम केवल FYM कंपोस्ट यूज कर रहे हैं, सो दीज मे बी सम कॉन्स्टेंट, सम लिमिटेशन, सम प्रॉब्लम्स. इसमें कुछ लिमिटेशंस हैं, जैसे कि अवेलेबिलिटी इज अ लिमिटेशन एंड प्रॉब्लम इज माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट चिलेशन. मिक्सिंग इज द प्रॉब्लम. डिसएडवांटेज मे बी दैट द pathogen increases, disease may increase, weeds problem increases. So there are some limitations, some constraints and disadvantage. So single approach of only application of FYM is not good approach for the large field. And this approach may be good for a short duration crop, because low amount is required. When we use in low amount, then mixing, there is a proper mixing, there is no microinchylation, and weed seed infestation is low. For short duration crop like vegetables, flowers, pulses, orchard, this is good approach. But in cereals, this is the problem. And if we can manage this problem, then there is no problem. But it is observed that the alone application of FYM has some limitations. And farmers is not resourceful so that he can manage all the problems. तो ऐसी सिचुएशन में फिर हमको क्या करना होता है? We have to apply some chemical fertilizers. तो हमको कुछ chemical fertilizers भी यूज करने चाहिए. So this is the integration approach, FYM and chemicals along with the biofertilizers. And biofertilizers not supply the nutrients, but they are helpful in production of antibiotics in soil. They produce some plant growth substances, regulating substance like auxin. तो biofertilizers के बहुत एडवांटेज हैं. नाइट्रोजन फिक्सेशन, फास्फोरस solubilization, potassium mobilization, then antibiotic production in soil. So biofertilizers are good. So we should include biofertilizer also to improve the crop productivity as well as to maintain the soil health. So that's why there is a need of integration. If we are only adopting the chemical approach, we are only applying only chemical fertilizer, then a number of problems are there. If we are applying only organics, then these are the some limitation and constant. Not all these are the problem. ये मैंने ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ ये सारी प्रॉब्लम है, इसमें कुछ लिमिटेशंस हैं, जैसे अवेलेबिलिटी नहीं हो पा रही है, प्रॉब्लम मिक्सिंग में हो रही है, डिसएडवांटेज ये हो रहा है कि पैथोजन बढ़ सकते हैं अगर पहले से उसमें सॉइल पैथोजन है तो. So that's why we should use integrated nutrient management approach. So this is the reason. तो ये अब आपको समझ में आ गया होगा why we should use integrated approach for nutrient supply. Thank you very much.